My title on the presentation is why growers don't want understand urban farming. So it's a bit of a provocation. I'd like to be provocative, and you guys can challenge me. But before we go into the detail, I'd like to give you a little bit of an overview on why I say that. And I'd like to draw out an analogy, and this is with the ice farmers. You know, these were the people that brought ice from the frozen lakes to storage areas where you could store your refrigerated goods. And it was reported, historically reported, that not a single ice farmer went into the business of refrigeration. Isn't that amazing? Not a single incumbent in an existing large industry didn't go to the new way of doing this. So, you know, why? I would challenge you guys to say, all right, let's be a bit more mindful about what's happening and let's draw other analogies in current days time. So let's look at this Tesla Motors. I took this picture on the parking lot of a Ramada in between Rochester and Canada. And I think the interesting thing about Tesla's model is to really say, when you're disruptive, you shouldn't just poke the incumbents, you really have to punch them. And reinventing the business model really means going full circle in reinventing the business model. So in Tesla's example, actually being a car company, deciding to go, you know, build a gigafactory for batteries, very unusual. Then deciding to actually use these batteries for solar storage capacity, eventually becoming maybe a data company. So it's very difficult to understand what the business model is of true disruptors, because, you know, they really disrupt everything and they mess it up, right? So it's very difficult to mimic that as an incumbent. I give you 3 megatrends which I believe really drive urban agriculture, and I start with this. I took this picture in New York. I was traveling to the East Coast recently, and I must say I was amazed in how food and the perception of food and the appreciation of fresh produce has been driving the industry, especially in urban agriculture, because that's the talk of town. People want to see the freshest, the best, the most delicious, ultra-local tomatoes, salads, and herbs from their farmers they know. And nobody else gives a shit if stuff gets flown in from Mexico or California. It's just happening. People want this. It's absolutely amazing when we see our consumers go wild on the stuff we grow. Second is urban design. I think this is a critical aspect. How do we make this part of the urban lifestyle? And, you know, people get inventive. You know, this is a picture of Kendall Square in Cambridge, Massachusetts. This is a coffee shop next to the Google headquarters. And people go there and pick their herbs for their salads and greens. And it's just a crazy situation to see people do this and think of this as a scalable opportunity. Here you have, in front of the School of Divinity, urban gardening setups. And people, architects, urban planners, everybody is willing to do these things right now in the city because it's an intrinsic part of the future city we're building right now. Third is technology, and I would like to put this third because I really believe the disruptive element of technology is vital, but it's not the only thing that drives this. So yes, we might grow food indoors, and this helps facilitate urban farming, but that's not the only reason why we do it. So us as a company, we've taken a commercial stand on this, and we're saying we're going to drive urban agriculture as a business, as a commercial opportunity, and what we need to see is really the disruption of food production in urban areas and reinvention of the full value add. So what does that mean? We are going to be the company that develops and designs these systems to be placed in these urban areas because they have a different footprint, different design characteristics, etc. We're going to operate them because nobody's willing to operate a 2,000 square meter farm just yet. Because everybody says that that's not relevant. I'd rather operate my own home turf, yet operate a third-party farm. I mean, our business model is completely agnostic, whether it's our farm or a third-party farm or somebody else's farm that we can O&M, operate and maintain. So we really take the business model apart. And the third part is the brand. I think it's a really critical aspect of saying we have a brand, a consumer recognized brand. Urban Farmer stands for ultra local, ultra fresh. And this is a differentiator you can't buy as an organic or conventional food producer, because you're just still a labeled product. We're a brand.
Yeah, thanks, Roman. My name is Mark. I'm a colleague of Roman's, and I'm responsible for the Netherlands here. And Roman's presented very nicely the vision and the concept and what we would like to achieve with urban farming, and that's really warm and fluffy to a lot of the people in the room here who are used to dealing with steel and mechanics and so forth. Well, I'm going to show you a couple of examples of those steel greenhouses and mechanics that are working just now and in operation. So this urban farming does exist, and I'll also show you just now a couple of examples of what's coming in the next 12 months. Behind me is our farm in Basel, which we're very proud of. This is our pilot facility in Basel, and we're producing vegetables and fish and delivering into 8 restaurants and also a local supermarket called Migros, which is nationwide in Switzerland. The fish and vegetables we're growing are in an aquaponic system. So this is the symbiosis of fish and vegetables. Fish are producing the nutrients for the vegetables, and those vegetables are essentially cleaning that water to come back to the fish. We do that because we believe it's a very resource-efficient means of food production. So we can get both the fish and the vegetables. We get protein and vegetation out of the system, and we don't need to pay as much for our fertilizers, and we don't need to use pesticides and herbicides, because then we would harm our fish, and we don't use antibiotics, because that would be pretty distasteful to sell you a salad full of fish antibiotics. So it all adds to the story that we're telling to the end consumer, which at the end of the day are the people who are driving this concept and driving the future market for urban farming. This, if you can see it, I'm not sure, it's quite bright on here. This is an example of our product being displayed in the store in Migros in Basel. So we have a whole stand. This is an own label supermarket, I should add. So it's equivalent of Albert Heijn suddenly putting up a stand with Coca-Cola and everything else as being its main product in the store. So when you walk in, the first thing that you see is Urban Farmer's ultra-local, ultra-fresh products. And the reason for that is because the consumers are telling the supermarkets, hey, we want to understand where the food comes from. We have 2 tours a week going through our farm, which is in the back end of an industrial estate. And it's not because it's a circus, and it's not because they want to poke at the fish or it's a school class. They're going through because they want to understand how their food is being produced and where it's coming from. So they're the ones who are pushing this concept and the future market for urban farming and urban farms. That's an example of our fish. The fish is a great product for us because it differentiates us, and also because we can provoke people by telling them it's tilapia, which most people immediately say, oh, well, you can't possibly want to have tilapia because it tastes like mud. And it's full of antibiotics, and it's the pits of the fish. Well, we say no. We say our tilapia is a fantastic product. We also say that it's the future fish for our brand for urban farmers, which we're flying at the moment. And we did some market surveys and consumer feedback on the product, because, like I said to you guys, the important people to us are the end consumers, the customers. You can see here, this is in Basel in Switzerland, and this part's very nice. We've got 86%, which is good. I think it puts us in a top tier. But here's interesting. We were asking an open question. What did you like in particular about the urban farm product? Well, first is fresh, and then is taste. So the first thing we learned from this feedback is that they buy the product again because it's very high quality. Then comes innovation and concept, then comes local production, then comes sustainability. So if anyone in the audience would like to challenge us on the brand being the only driver behind, or the concept being only the driver behind someone buying a tomato from an urban farm, I would go back to the actual research and say, well, no, these people want to buy it because it's higher quality, it's better quality, it's fresher. And it's not just in Switzerland, this is in the Netherlands. So here we took a cross-section of 400 people. We asked them about their perceptions of tilapia in particular, because we get so much stick about this dirty wee fish from Vietnam. And so we tested it against the Albert Heijn tilapia and a dorade in a blind testing. And I think you can see, perhaps on the right-hand side is indicative. The little circle in the middle is in nice Albert Heijn colors, so you can spot it there. The slightly larger circle here that matches the orange circle for fish taste is the dorade. And we score higher on absolutely everything: firmness, freshness, juiciness, overall liking. So people didn't know that was a tilapia. When we asked these people to guess what the fish was, the highest percentage guess was tuna. So that's the difference that freshness and quality and local production can make to a product, and that's the value you can add to it. And speaking of, well, here this is just a nice slide because it says 75% of people would and do buy tilapia. So this is challenging what the stigma is here. What does the consumer really want? What do they really want to see and to buy? And it's this freshness and the locality is important. But this is the slide that I was expecting to come to. When we speak about what prices people will pay, one of the other criticisms we come in for is that because of the capital expenditure for a rooftop farm, you must have to charge astronomical prices. And also, you guys are in Basel in Switzerland, which is nice because you have this little economic bubble that you're existing in. Well, when we did our questionnaire, when we spoke to people and we cross-referenced it and did all sorts of boring analytical simulations, this is the price that came out for the urban farmers' aquaponic system tilapia in your neighborhood compared to the price that they would be willing to pay for an existing ASC certified fish out of Vietnam. Now, that's not to say that we're going to charge people 35 euros per kg for the fish, but it's nice to know that we probably could. So people want to buy the product, they want to buy the fish and the vegetables from their local farm, and now we're starting to see the local farms actually materialize. So this is our pipeline over the next 2 years. Okay, so on the right-hand side, you can see farms that are actually in progress just now. UF de Schilde is in The Hague, and Migros M-Farm is in Basel in Switzerland. The cool thing about Migros M-Farm, this is on top of a supermarket. And 4 years ago, when I first met Roman, he told me he wanted to put greenhouses on top of supermarkets so you could have the freshest salad and the freshest fish in the neighborhood and differentiate on that. And I have to admit, the first time that I spoke to him, I thought he was a bit nuts. And now we're doing it. So we're really, it's going to be happening. So that's a 1,600 square meter greenhouse. And this is another very exciting project, especially since it's in the Netherlands. So we're going to be building this in The Hague this year. It's a two-leveled urban farm. We have a 1,000 square meter greenhouse on the rooftop. And then we have a 300 square meter aquaculture on the 6th floor, producing between 40 and 60 tons of vegetables, depending on the mix, and about 19 tons of tilapia. So if anyone is in the Netherlands and stays in The Hague, who's building? Which building is it? It's De Schilde. De Schilde, sorry. It's a building, it's the old ex-Philips telecommunications building in The Hague. So it's a 6-story high industrial building. Right in the center, yeah. So we'll be able to deliver your fresh veggies by bicycle in the morning. So this is happening. We're building farms, and the reason that we're building farms is because consumers want to have ultra-local, ultra-fresh products that they know where it came from and how it was produced. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mark and Roman. I can imagine that there's a few questions. So